Hello, this is Lady Boule, and I hope you are having a most marvelous day. Thank you for your support. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Thank you for your thumbs up, for your comments, and thank you for sharing the videos. Thank you for all you do to support the channel. Well, I want to thank you for the positive comments concerning Mayor Woodfin of Birmingham and his engagement to a single mom. I thought it was a lovely story, and we do need to hear more stories like that because there really are Black American couples who are making it work. And it might not be in perfect form, but they're making it work for them. So I'm very proud of that couple, and I'm going to look for other things like that, other couples who are making their situation work in spite of all the obstacles that we face as Black Americans. So thank you for your outpouring of support for this couple and also for showing the ability to wish somebody else well and be happy for somebody else's good fortune. But everybody that commented wasn't so positive. Now I know there is the sentiment that we need to ignore all of this negative behavior coming from people from the Manosphere, but I am of the opinion that people need to be supported in what they do, and I believe in speaking on issues because I know a lot of these people are throwing out negative energy, and it really does muddle the water and pollutes the air, so you just have to address it. So I'm going to address some of the negative comments that came in. There weren't that many, but I'm going to address them because they come on my channel with this negative energy, and I want to counter it with positive energy to the best of my ability. There is a thing going around on these social media platforms where Black men think they're in a position to give other Black men advice. Men who are more successful than they are, who are more credible than they are, who probably have a higher credit score than they have, but somehow they feel like they're in a position to give a man who is completely grown, who is completely intelligent, who knows exactly what he wants out of life, but these men think they are in a position to give those men advice. So this is the kind of feedback that I got from the video of Mayor Woodfin marrying a single mom. And I'm guessing these are Black men, but this is the kind of feedback I got. At Citizen Trials 8346 says, this man is a problem not only for himself, but for Black people in general. Black men have to stop tolerating off-code men like him. Now he's saying that Mayor Woodfin of Birmingham, who is actually doing more for Black people than somebody like this will ever do, is a problem for Black people in general. And that Black men have to stop tolerating off-code men like him. Now what does that mean? Black men need to stop tolerating off-code men like him. First of all, how are Black men tolerating him? And second of all, what code is he talking about? This man is not on any code with them. The idea that Black men have some kind of a brotherhood where they're all on code about how they're going to behave about something is insane. If Black men were on code, they would work together to build something so that the mayor of Birmingham wouldn't be almost single-handedly trying to figure out a way to get grocery stores into those food desert neighborhoods. See, these kind of Black men only want to get on code with other Black men when they're doing something against women, specifically Black women. They want to control women. They're not interested in building anything or trying to make anything else happen other than trying to control women. And this is what nullifies their whole argument about being on code. And here's at Ashmo Bangs 7986. Of course you would praise good, productive Black men to marry these baby mamas. This guy is a fool for marrying a woman who had children for another man. Single mothers are a terrible deal. And I would also advise against men marrying children that were raised by single mothers. This guy is going to learn the hard way. So this is a man assuming that whatever his experience has been will be what this man's experience will be. And that's being presumptuous. You don't know what this man's experience is going to be with this woman. And if you had a bad experience with a single mother, that's unfortunate. But it would also be unfortunate if that single mother had a bad experience with you. If you were raised by a single mother, I'm sorry if you think that was a bad deal. Because it's possible that some of these men were raised by rotten mothers. Rotten single mothers. Because, let's face it, we have a generation of young people now whose mothers have had to go to court to find out who their father was. They got to go to court to find out who baby daddy is. Now, I admit that people who are brought up in environments like that got a raw deal. You just did. But that's not the case with this woman, according to this man. All single mothers are not terrible mothers. Some of them are great mothers. Some of the best mothers in the United States are single mothers. Just because it didn't work for you, and I understand these people. I sympathize with black people who had a terrible childhood and who were raised in terrible circumstances. But that does not have to do with the mother's status as a single mother. That has to do with how she was thinking and how she chose to raise her children. And I go back to this again. If your mother had to go to court to find out who your dad was, that is a bad sign for a child growing up in that environment, or a mother who has a child by a man who denies the child or didn't want the child. And that does happen in single mother situations. There are single mothers as well as married mothers who have put their children in terrible situations and who have given them a really bad start in life. But these are the things that we have to learn to overcome. Nobody starts out with a perfect life. Nobody starts out with a perfect mother or a perfect father. And these men do not take into account the fact that a lot of their fathers abandoned them and didn't do what was right by them. They blame it all on their mothers, but there's some blame to go around. And it's not all on the mother, whether she's single or not. And these men are bitter and they're angry. And I also think that black men need to be mindful that they're not jealous of other black men, especially successful black men. If you are a black man in America and your life has not turned out to be what you would like for it to be, it is hard to look at some of these very successful, super successful black men and not feel just a tinge of envy. And I believe some of that is at work with this. Those men can pick from the cream of the crop, and they do. And those women that they pick are not perfect, but that's who they want. Now, I'm going to give some advice to the men who come on my channel with a negative attitude about single black mothers or single mothers in general. Get help. There's a lot of undiagnosed mental and emotional illness in the black community. It's based on the trauma that we started out with from the beginning, and then we're adding trauma on top of trauma. So I advise you to get help. Get some counseling from somebody that's trained to help people to deal with their anger and their trauma and childhood issues and depression, because a lot of this is depression. A lot of black people are depressed because we're trying to juggle too many things in a society that's constantly changing and constantly requiring us to keep up. So some of this is because of our inability to really juggle and navigate all of the things that are coming at us. So then we just zero in on one thing. It's the black men or it's the black women. And the weakest thing, and I hate to say this, well, I don't hate to say it, I'm just going to say it. The weakest thing that a man can do is blame all of his problems on a woman. Now, single mothers do have issues. If you don't want to marry a single mother, don't. If you don't want to deal with a single mother, don't. But that does not mean that the single mother that you don't want to deal with wouldn't be a blessing to some other man. A lot of it has to do with compatibility. I'm glad that there are black men who think for themselves, who make decisions for their lives based on what they know is best for them and not what some faceless, random people on social media advise them to do. So that's one of the good things, that after all is said and done, black American men are not a monolith. They don't think alike and they don't move alike. And that's a blessing for black women. So in closing, these people will have a bad experience or bad experiences for that matter, and they generalize that everybody else is going to have the same experience or experiences that they've had. And that is incorrect. And so they get on these social media platforms and they get their heads together and make a decision about what every black man ought to do. And thinking that, well, we're right and we know what's best for black people. No, you don't. You know what's best for you. And then this whole thing about, again, women of other races, I think that's a great idea for these type of men. The men who are going to these passport brothers that are going to other countries where they're going to find a better class of women, I think that's wonderful. Because really everybody needs to have the best experience in life that they can have. So, I really think black women, I've said this before, I think black women should wish them well. Because if you can find your bliss or if you can find your happiness in another race of women, do that. But leave black women and black men alone who figure out how to get along with each other. That's all I'm saying. And so we have to learn to stay in our lane too. But the main thing that people need to do who are angry is to get help. Because there are people out there who can help you to put things in perspective and help you to deal with the stress and the trauma in your own lives. And the worst thing you can do is go to a social media platform with another angry black man who's dealing with trauma and stress and depression and taking advice from that person. There's too much fixation on single black moms. And when you are fixated on somebody else, that's a sign of a problem. Men who do not like and do not date single moms have a right to their opinion and a right to their preference. But every other black man should have the same right to their preference that you do. If their preference is a single mom, then that's their business and their right. And you are being respectful when you stay out of that person's business. Okay, y'all. Thank you for listening. Let me know what you think about the video. Subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up, leave a comment, share the video, and as always, have a great day.